All right, I'm back. I have no idea what's going on with my situation here. Just for full disclosure and let you know what's happening, I'm in my workspace here in my terrace level part of my basement. I am working on a project that I've been working on in several lives. Well, maybe this is the second one. I've done a video about this, so if you're interested in what this project is about, I'm going to explain it here in just a moment. But look in my video history, you'll see a video about it. Technical difficulties that tend to be happening to me, so you know during this live, I have got my iPhone, which is acting as the camera, which is very difficult for me to see your comments, and I have it mirrored onto a very large monitor right here, which is what I'm looking at to read your comments. So those of you who are joining, I can see you coming in. Thank you so much for that. I'm trying to read your comments, but for some reason, this monitor decides from time to time to stop mirroring, so that means I can't see your comments because I have grandpa eyes, and these grandpa eyes, I don't want to be doing this to you, trying to see it, or getting my face so close to the camera that it's really awkward. So thanks for joining. So this is, like I said, this is my craft table. I've been working on this antique clock cabinet, is what I'm working on. It's in process. What I'm converting this thing into is some people call it a shadow box. I call it a Christmas cloche. I found it in very rough condition. You can see the clock guts were gone. It's just a shell. So I am recreating it into a room. This space is going to be a room. For those of you who were with me last night on the live, my apologies, because I'm going to review what I said in the last live for those of you today who are joining, which looks like there's about 140 people that have joined this live. Many of you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. So what I've done is I've created this floor out of wood. This is made out of little pieces of craft wood that you can find at a craft store. This has been stained, glued onto a piece of foam core, stained with shoe polish, and the shoe polish is giving it this kind of rustic look is what I was going for. You can kind of see it looks like an old hardwood floor, like maybe you would see in an old store building or something like that. So that's what I'm going for. That fits into the bottom of this, and let me do that for you. Goes into the bottom, which is going to become the floor inside of my room. Okay, you guys follow me so far? I'm not getting any comments, so I'm guessing people can hear me just fine. Speak up loudly. Thank you. Or is that you're asking me that I'm not speaking loudly enough? The microphone may not be picking you up as well, which I am going to be, what I'm going to do pretty soon, I've got a device coming. I'm going to be wearing a clip-on microphone so that we can hear me better than this phone trying to pick up the sound. So anyone else out there want to let me know what the audio is like for them? Feel free to tell me. Thank you, very good. Mistletoe Eve, I appreciate it. Maca girl, thank you forever. I love you forever, actually, for telling me that. So thank you, Jennifer Chandler. Jennifer Chandler is the name of my daughter, actually. My daughter's married name, one of my daughters, actually. So, but by your thumbnail, you're not the same Jennifer Chandler. So let me show you something else. Gonna grab this. This is going to be the back of the clock cabinet, this part right here, and this is the interior. So this is just beginning. So you've got a window, and I guess you guys know what that is next to it. The fireplace I built kind of here on my own, and it fits into the back. I'm going to do that for you. I'm actually giving you an overview right now so that you can kind of see where we're going because we're in process. I am painting the cabinet, and I saw the question about the gold paint. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But you kind of see what's happening. The fireplace is going to have an LED flickering fire inside of it. We're going to have a little Christmas tree in there, a whole lot of gifts. So you're going to be looking through a glass window, which is this. This is a door that opens, and that fits right here on the front. And you'll be looking through a peephole, if you will, to chandeliers and wall sconces and little bits of furniture. So looking into like a little rustic, maybe dark Christmas experience is what you'll be having inside this old cabinet. Those of you that were on the live last night, you know that I was doing a black chalk paint over this because it was in very rough condition. I had to use some putty and some divots that were on top of it because it is a true antique. It does have some detailing that you can see here that I'm going to try to save with some gold wax because I decided to paint what was marbleized. This was not marble, but marbleized wood. It was very ugly. I have painted this gold, and I'm working on that. So the goal this morning, I'm going to add another coat of gold, but I really want my gold color to match more of the metal color that I've got going on here in the glass bevel. You see that? You notice that the gold I've painted is more yellow and this is a little more orange. So what I did this morning before I turned on the live and had technical difficulties is I took my gold paint, which came from Michael's. This is just a gold metallic acrylic paint. And what I did is add to it a little bit of orange acrylic paint. I have an entire box of colors, and that really is, there you go, that's better. This light that's directly here is super bright, so I try to stay out of it because I turn completely orange when I go under it. So this is orange paint. So I've added a little bit of orange to the gold and stirred it in and mixed it really well to try to create kind of a gold tone for my gold. So I don't have to, I want it to match basically, and I don't have to do a lot of after work. So what I'm doing here this morning, and you guys are welcome to hang around. It looks like I lost a lot of people. We're down to 87. I like to keep count, but I know it's kind of boring, and this is just a little craft thing, and some people just like to watch. Does anybody like to watch? Good morning, Sneed. So the standing question is, does anyone like to watch? 83 of you do, because you're hanging out. I see the hearts going up, so yes. So a few of you are here because you like to watch. Thank you, Darian, for watching. Yes, Rhonda is watching it. Hello, Drew. Welcome to yet another live. Artful Roger, which is my little moniker here on TikTok, is trying very hard to do more lives because they've requested, and these things are stressful for me a little bit. I'm saying I don't love it, but it is a little bit stressful, and I want you guys to be entertained. So hopefully what I've created here, a background, I've done this for you to try to make my my downstairs area look a little better. So I'm doing it all. It's all about you guys. So that's what this is about. So let me move on. Let me get off of my little boohoo soapbox. All right. Told you about adding the orange. This is the paint I've already mixed with a little bit of orange in it. You can see it looks a little bit orange. Hey, Terry, welcome back. Terry was on the live last night. That glass window bevel is beautiful. Yeah, me too, Kay. I love that thing. It's very pretty. This actually, let me show you something about that. This came off of a, this came off another clock that I had. So you can see that it's hinged. So the bevel is going to remain on the wood, and then you can open this out. I'm not going to lock this so that when it is a little shadow box, you can actually open the glass and look in, which will be kind of cool. But it can stay closed to protect everything inside from dust and perhaps from fingers. You know, like someone who I've made a lot of pieces, by the way. This is some of my stuff in the back, but I've learned over the years, for the last 20 years, that no matter how old you are, you love to put your fingers and try to figure out how something's put together. So a lot of times when I'm selling these things, or I'm at a pop-up shop or something like that, or have it out somewhere for sale, I will lock these glass with a screw. So it's really more difficult for somebody to open it and stick their little nit inside and start tearing stuff up, because they're not trying to destroy it, they're just trying to figure out how I put it together. But no. So anyway, yes, very pretty. I did save this. I have another, this is my craft table. I have another studio over here where I build more rustic things like what you see behind me. That has a lot of stuff like this, and I'll be doing a live over there. Once I get that to a place where it can look decent as well, I'll start showing you guys some of that stuff, because it's very different, and it's a lot of old brass, pot metal, lamp parts, and things like that. So that's also what I work with. Yeah. Okie, welcome back. Welcome back. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, thank you, Kay. I'm glad you have. And yes, the clock pieces are pretty cool. These clock cabinets, guys, if you're interested in these things, I'm going to show this again with the back in there. These things are all in antique malls. And typically what's happened is the clock broke a long time ago, and somebody's taken the clockworks out and they've done some steampunk thing with it, which I think is really cool. I have a lot of clockworks over there in my other studio myself. But thankfully, they don't throw these little cabinets away. Sometimes they're made out of mahogany, cherry. They're beautiful pieces. Interesting detail. When I see these things out there and they're like, this one was like 30 bucks. I found this at an antique shop in Charleston, South Carolina when I was there last year. I can't pass these things up. I look at that and I go, oh my God, I want to make that a little house. I want to make something out of it. And so this has been sitting in my studio over there for a year, and I have not been able to work with it because I was not inspired. Sometimes it takes me a little while to actually get the bug. But once I get it, then I can't leave it alone. And that's why, and here's the floor again, that's why this live is happening again and again. Because Mr. Roger, not Rogers, but Mr. Roger can't leave it alone. So I'm gonna start putting some gold paint on here. Yeah, Mac Girl Forever has made a good suggestion. Guys, I am so new to this live thing. So encourage other viewers to share, I guess. I'm seeing some invitation stuff here that are on. There's so much going on, and my phone is way up there. So yeah, I also understand that if you guys are hearting this thing by just tapping the screen, it sends up hearts, which will send it out there for more people to view. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name here on TikTok is Artful Roger. I have quite a few videos posted, so if you're curious about who I am and what I do, just go back and look at my history, and you'll see. I'm mostly about vintage Christmas, gardening, and this artwork that I do, this bizarro nerd craft that it's in miniature. And I call it nerd craft because I have zero issue with being considered a nerd. I embrace it. I have long been one. I'm a true fan of Young Sheldon, the TV show, because there's so many things about Young Sheldon that I relate to as a kid, because I was born into a family of jock men, and I was a hyper creative. So if you've ever watched Young Sheldon, I was a little bit like him as a kid, because, you know, I liked doing craft projects and going to art class and, you know, building things. I had model trains because I could build little towns and cities and light them up and create my own traffic lights and street lights. And my thing with the trains was never about the trains themselves, although I knew trains inside and out when I was like 10 years old. I was like an expert on trains, like a little nerd. But it was always about getting to the point where I could build these scenes. I could build mountains and towns and bridges and do all the lighting. So here you go. I put a coat of paint on there. I don't know if you guys can see that, the top one versus the bottom one, but this is a second coat, but I am seeing a little more orange in that, which I'm loving. Again, I've added some orange paint to my gold, some orange acrylic. For those of you who missed it, my gold paint is here. And this is the orange acrylic that I added, and I'll add a little more orange to it if I have to so I can keep going, but that's looking pretty good. So yes, you have reached the nerd channel. Artful Roger, the nerd. The proud and happy nerdly guy. I never was the most popular kid on the playground. As a matter of fact, I probably was unpopular most of the time, and I survived it. And at nearly 60, I'm 59 years old, I'm still relatively unpopular in my natural 3D world, and I'm good with it. I have found a community here on TikTok of people who think like me, who evidently like this nerdly stuff I do, and I appreciate your support. As I told you last night, this experience has been transformative. I am absolutely feeling the love from you guys. There's those of you who are on this live right now who chat with me, who have talked with me in email, and it's been a wonderful experience to connect with like-minded people. So for that, I appreciate the community I have. The common question that comes up is, are you married? I am married. So if there's anyone who's going to start asking that on this live, I probably need to post it on here. Yes, happily for 20-something years, 21 years. I should know that. So there's that second on that. Okay, by comments, thank you, Alan. By comments, can you guys see that it's a little more orange? Thank you, Kay. Yeah, or do you think what I just painted, which is this side over here, looks a little more orange? You see the orange then, Garrett? You do see it, yeah. So I want to take the yellow down. I don't know how close, this has to dry first before I can really figure out if it's going to match the bevel, which is, again, this piece. Chaz can't see it. Chaz, you cannot see. Okay. So both sides look the same. I see a little more orange. I see some orange over here. I see yellow over here. Okay, I'm moving on. I'm going to keep painting. I'm going to keep blabbing my mouth here to entertain you. Anyone have any questions about anything you want me to blab about? And I don't have any boundaries sometimes. Yeah, the second coat definitely looks better. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, you can. Chaz can see it now. Okay, awesome. What did I eat for breakfast? That's a really good question. So if you follow me, I could ask this question for people who know who I am. I cook maybe 3 things. Can anyone on here? Yeah, because I'm fully caffeinated, Okie, because it's called 2 cups of coffee and this is me bouncing. And I just got off the treadmill too, just a little bit ago. Treadmill, shower, here. This is how it went today. But I did eat breakfast this morning, which typically is my pureed baby food, potatoes, sweet potatoes with spinach and baby carrots and protein powder. That's what I usually have during the week. But this morning, I made one of my, I made, Garrett, good guess. I made one of my, yes, Alan, I'm sure you do. I make grits, and I made grits this morning. But what I do with grits is I made a video about how I make grits. I do not use water in my grits. I always use whole milk, and I use chicken broth. Those are the things I use for my liquid to make grits. And if you haven't had grits, you need to have grits. Grits are really good. Grits are savory typically. Some people do put sugar in them. As a Southerner, I think it's a sin to put sugar in your grits. But I live with a Northerner who is prone to putting sugar in things. So I'm with someone, I'm with a Yankee, but I'm a Southerner. So this grits this morning, I bring the liquid to a boil. And what I do to add protein is I will take, typically because of the serving size of grits I'm making, I take 4 eggs, put them in a container and whisk the eggs up. And once the liquid, not the water, but the liquid is boiling, I pour the eggs into the liquid and I cook the eggs in the liquid. So it's like egg drop soup, but it's really, I kind of let the eggs get chunky and cook in the liquid. And then I pour the grits into that and let the grits cook inside the grits. Grits cook inside the eggs. And what you end up with are chunks of egg yolk and egg white that's cooked inside your eggs with salt and butter. So you're really getting your eggs and your grits mixed together, and you're getting a lot of protein and of course a lot of carbohydrates because we're talking about corn. But it's delicious, especially when it's 15 degrees outside. I really didn't want to be drinking a lukewarm pureed potato, spinach, and carrot shake this morning when I could be having grits, because it is the weekend. And typically on the weekends, I eat food. You know, during the week I have normal food as well, but I don't think a lot of people puree potatoes, sweet potatoes, and stuff like that, and have that for breakfast. I think I'm right. Oh, you had shrimp and grits? Yeah, shrimp and grits. Let me just say this. If you've been to Charleston and you've had shrimp and grits, then you've had God's shrimp and grits. That's my opinion. Then you, for the rest of your life, all you do is wherever you go and they have shrimp and grits on the menu, you're like, well, I'll take a chance. And they're never as good as they are when you're down there. So I would say if you're in Savannah or Charleston, that's probably where, in my opinion, you're going to find the best shrimp and grits. But sometimes, like here in Atlanta, restaurants put it on the menu, but there's entirely too much garlic, or it's too liquidy, the grits don't have enough body. It's just, you know, I get disappointed. So I've stopped ordering shrimp and grits in the Atlanta area. I don't care who you are, I don't care how good you say they are, I'll make those at home. But I also live with someone who's allergic to shrimp. Terrible. To Charleston you go. You're not that far away, CBA, so you could just get in your little car and drive down there. I know who you are. So yeah, I'm putting my gold paint on. And we're down to 68 people, so I've lost 20 people. Yay me. Yes, I ran them off. Nobody cares about Grandpa talking. But the 68 people who are here, I thank you. Taking the hits, exactly. Let me ask you this, Drew, before I answer that question. Do I know you in the 3D world? In the 3D world, or are we only on here as 2D? A lot of people, I don't know who they are, and they ask me questions, and I'm like, what if? Do I know you in the 3D world, Drew? Asking for a friend. Terry, you're supposed to be off on Saturday. Okay, good, Drew. I work for Ballard Designs. That's the name of the company. It's a home decor furniture retailer and online. Was it mostly known as a catalog company before, but there are retail stores now, and it has a very strong online presence. It probably is, but you can buy your grits, okay? You can buy grits you can buy them on Amazon, And you can look at my video and make your grits the Southern way, this person's Southern way. You can make nerd grits for yourself. Oh, you're a manager at a retail store. Yeah, I tried. See, I thought I was so creative because it's Saturday. I'm going to do a live this morning. People are home. They can watch it because people usually say, I can't watch it because I'm working or whatever. But Terry, you're one of those folks. So, Oki, let me answer your question. You were 2D, but now you're in the 3D. And the reason you're in the 3D is because of our connection and the way we're communicating. I think anyone who starts to step into my email, you actually leave the 2D and become 3D. And if you send an image or a photograph of yourself, then I can kind of get more of a sense of who you are. And I know you're not someone in the 2D, in my 3D world that's on here under a pseudonym that I don't know who you are. I hope that made sense. Nikki, I'm glad you love Ballard. Ballard has a following like nobody's business. If you love Ballard, you love Ballard. It is, let me get this down where you guys can see it. It is it's a cult following. They love it. And it's good stuff. It's awesome. Awesome product. Beautiful things. As I've said before, some amazing stuff is coming pretty soon, probably by summertime. So keep your eyes on it. If you haven't subscribed to Ballard's, their SMS program for email alerts, text message alerts, or get on their email program, just so you know what's going on with them. But yeah, if you love Ballard, some exciting stuff out there that's coming. Some really great foundational pieces of furniture from which to build decor in your house. If you're painting like I'm painting, have a damp towel nearby. So Drew, if you want to get in the 3D Club, all you have to do is go to my profile and send me an email. I'm not saying send me some blank email and forward me some stuff that makes no sense. What I'm saying is there's people in this live that I did not know before I got on TikTok who I've now developed relationships with because I know them more fully. And it's like I said last night, and as I had to go get a Kleenex to dry my eyes, this experience has been a transformative, if you will, melting experience for me. I had not known how much, through some painful things that have happened in my life over the years, how much I had closed myself off to some things. But what has happened on here is because I came into TikTok without a filter, and I just have been sharing from my heart. And I mean that. It sounds like cliche. It sounds like, oh, you're just a liar. I'm not. I was sharing from the heart, and people have reacted because it's resonated with other people. And what's happening is there is a wave, a flood of kindness that has come to me from TikTok that has absolutely been a phenomenon. It has been transformative. It has, to quote something from back in my religious days, it has wrought a mighty change. I have to say that. And I'm not attributing that to anything other than just kindness and the love and support. Sorry, that's how it feels. That's coming to me from this TikTok experience, the people that are on here. Chaz, I am painting, and it is a vintage clock cabinet. Linda, welcome back. I like your new profile photo. I noticed it this morning. So this is what I'm doing. I'm building a little world inside this. Guys, you've been told this a bazillion times. Felicia Harvest, or am I getting that right? Felicia C. Felicia. Welcome back. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, so this is what I'm working on. The reason that I'm painting this right now with the gold is because I'm working to match the bevel that's going to be on the front. So I'm trying to get this gold toned down to more of an orangey gold to match what you just saw in the bevel. So I think we're coming along. I think I've got all my paint on there. I'm rambling, making sure. And I think this side that we started on is probably ready for a little more color here. Dang it. Yes, me too, using it that way. It looks like I'm gonna have to be tilting my head back. I don't know what is wrong with my mirroring software, but it has disconnected my monitor once again, so I'm gonna be looking at my phone, and it takes me a little bit to see it. Dorothy, I'm in the compliance department. So like I said, I already confessed to being a nerd, so I do nerdly, behind the scenes kind of stuff, yeah. The thing that would probably affect you if you're a fan of Ballard or buy from Ballard is I write their instruction sheets for anything that requires, assembly or installation. That stuff goes through Illustrator, and I do the little images and you know, I write the words and, you know, put part A into part B, use the bolt and do this and that, you know, just instructions. The reason I'm not using spray paint, there's a couple of reasons. Typically I would spray this, or I would, you know, I painted this with chalk paint last night. The black part is chalk paint, but the reason I don't spray right now is because I spray outdoors and it's 15 degrees. And I have already found out the hard way that you cannot paint outdoors if it's a certain temp, as you probably well know, because it will, the paint just goes on terribly. It blobs and runs and it's horrible. Thank you, Felicia, for that comment. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's very kind of you. Let me get to painting here real quick and shut my trap for a second. Yeah, I'm just getting in here on these spots. I think that I just painted this. Yeah, that's still tacky. Yeah, and this is looking good. Some evil. All right, Sneed. Come back. Yeah, I'll be here a little while probably this morning. I'm just going to leave this thing running. Yeah. That's how most people found out about Ballard. And I think people are surprised to start seeing the stores popping up in their markets. There's a store, our newest store just opened in Denver. So if you're in the Denver area, there is a Ballard Design store there now. So those things are happening. I think there's one coming along in Raleigh right now, Raleigh, North Carolina. One's opening in Greenville, South Carolina. So there's you know, you get to go in there and touch it and feel it. If you've been a catalog fan for years, then you get to, you know, you get to actually physically see it, which is awesome. Alan, how long what? Yeah, I think this gold is looking pretty good. Yeah, I think that looks great. Kind of coming along. And I think it's matching. It's orange enough right now. I was just thinking I was going to blow dry this thing, but I'm probably not going to. I think I'm going to leave this back like this as well. I don't think I'm going to bring the gold around. You know, I think I could, but I'm not going to do that. Yeah. Oh, you just found out you have one nearby? What city are you in, Chaz? Sometimes I do sell these. I have sold some stuff. I've sold quite a few pieces of this assemblage in the back, but not these kinds of things. I don't know that I've ever sold one of these. I've given these as gifts, but I am starting to make these to a higher level so they can be sold. Oh yeah, yeah, this store is in Oak Brook, in the Chicago area. Heart by Hearts, hi there, I are back. I'm glad you are. And my mirroring monitor has stopped, so here I am with my trifocal whatever lenses, and I'm going like this, trying to look like some old man because I can barely see it. Some random old man online. But I can see this. Thank you, Heart by Hearts. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you joined the live. Yeah, I'm going to, guys, I'm just going to step away just 1 second. I'm going to go buy a hair dryer. I'm actually going to go get the blow dryer and bring it over here so you guys can watch me use a blow dryer, because guess what? I know how to do that too. Hang on, I'll be right back. So this is my Vidal Sassoon blow dryer that I got at Goodwill about 12 years ago and has been in my hardcore studio over there for years and years. It has dried a paint job. Again, if Vidal don't look good, I don't look good. So I'm about to crank up my Vidal Sassoon hair dryer and dry this paint. This is what blow drying looks like. So I'm doing this blow drying experience, which probably eliminated a lot of people from my life, thankfully. I'm joking, I'm only kidding. Please hang around. I'm doing this so I can put another coat on sooner without having to wait. So that looks pretty good. That took away the, hey Evie, welcome back. Yeah, I have, yeah, let's see. Yeah, look at that. Wow, that's amazing. I need to get a little loft here. Oh wow, look at that. That hairline is back in outer space. I think this is the back of my head. So the funky thing about getting older is my hair just grows differently. It used to be my hairline, I think, was down here somewhere, and it's slowly finding its way back to the back of my head. But now my hair is laying forward all the time, so I'm just letting it do it. I don't care. But you can see how far back that hairline goes. Ballard has been around for 40 years. The general history of Ballard. Yeah, it does work on watercolor. It works on a lot of things, actually. And it is over there always drawing some surface, for sure. Yeah. So, yeah, Ballard's history, you know, I don't know. Because I have to fully disclose, if I talk about Ballard product, I have to fully disclose that I work for Ballard, and it is a part of my life. But the history of Ballard, it's a very interesting history, but I'll let someone else tell that story. Although I know the story. I absolutely know it, like the back of my hand. I have a little piece of plastic in my... That's something else, guys, I talked about last night. If you have a craft table, I highly recommend one of these green grids because it's good for measuring, and it's also will not cut through. You can use knives and stuff on it. You can cut your foam core on here without damaging a surface underneath. But whenever I'm painting, I put down craft paper like this or something so I can paint, you know, without messing up my stuff. Alan, you got the Ballard catalog as a teenager? Man. Yeah, you had one of these grids, and yeah, this grid is awesome. I did not know about these grids, but my sister is a crafty person, and at her house, I used to go down there. She lives in a different place now, but when I would go to her house back in the day, we would do these Christmas cloches. When I would go down there at Christmas, we would do a couple of days in her craft room, and she had these mats. I didn't have them here, but I just loved them because you could really work really well on the mat without destroying things and making messes, and it really contained everything. So that's where I came up with it. And I got Woman to Wear Daily too. Okay. Yeah, I love the mats. So as far as those kind of magazines, I remember people like that. They were in my guys that got those magazines. I was friends with a guy in high school. Well, he was in the friends group, but he and I weren't really friends. But I think he had a subscription to Vogue, and that guy could draw some. I mean, he was like could draw fashion photos. You know, those images with women in evening gowns and all that kind of stuff. He designed clothing and stuff. That always fascinated me, and I've known people since I've been at Ballard. that have been like that, had that creative bent. They understand fabric and they understand fashion. I understand this is cotton. That's what I understand. I do okay, but it's never been my strong suit. No pun intended. I said suit. Do you see that? Anybody? Anybody? Is this thing on? Yeah. Yeah, my parents didn't know what to do with me, but they did. They put me in art classes, and my dad was at the University of South Carolina. His duty station, actually, when he was in the Navy, that was second to the last place he was in. And while he was at the university, when I was in sixth grade, I got to take an art class for a summer at the university. So that was pretty cool. They ran the gamut of all sorts of types of art, but we really got to see things you liked and find yourself in that. So my parents tried to find me. My dad enrolled me in 2 years of Little League baseball to try to see if he could rouse, an inner jock in me. And my first year of Little League, as I said last night, was very difficult. My second year, I really started to get it. I was a good hitter. And I just was really starting to really like it and making friends in that, but we moved. And so when we moved away, that my role as a baseball player went away. And instead, I developed the things you see today. This is what I do. This is what gives me life, so to speak. And it looks like you guys are still hanging out there. I'm at my lowest level now. I'm at 50 people. They're dropping like flies. You know what? Does it matter? If I just sit on here with the camera rolling, I was drinking my coffee this morning, looking at TikTok, of course, and somebody's live popped up, and some guy was on there making cinnamon rolls. That's what he was doing. He was in a bakery making cinnamon rolls. His camera like this. There's a big pan of cinnamon rolls. That's all he was doing. Wearing an apron and a very, very tight shirt. And that's all he was doing, and he had people going crazy. And so I'm like, you know what? I can paint something. Maybe people will like me painting. So that's what I'm doing. I might as well share the love. Share the fun of painting in my basement on a 15-degree day. That's it. I think this is looking, it's actually starting to look good. I think we're getting there. I think, actually, I don't know what you guys think. Yeah, this one's not a cloche. This is probably more like a shadow box. A cloche is actually with the glass top on it. Like, I'll show you in just a second. But you think so, Kay? Yeah, you like it? So I think that the color's close enough, don't you think? I think we're okay. I don't think I need to go any more orange. Thoughts? Yeah. I'm reading your comments. I see what you're saying. So yes to this. The color's perfect. Okay, good. Close adjacent is right. Yeah, good. Good, I do too. So I'm gonna I'm gonna dry this. I think I just got gold paint on my shirt, on my raggedy shirt with a hole under the arm. I'm just gonna leave it. I'm gonna dry that in just a second. Somebody asked me something here I wanted to answer. Oh, show you what it looks like. Okay, so because we're at 61 people and people have left because they don't know what we're doing, this is a vintage clock cabinet. Found it in Charleston, South Carolina. It's nothing more than a shell. I've painted it with black chalk paint. I am adding gold accents because I'm trying to match the bevel in this glass door. What I'm doing is building a little scene for Christmas inside this clock cabinet. I've made a floor made of wood. We pop it inside so you guys can see what the wood floor looks like. There's the wood floor. I've made a back for it. I've already done this. This is a fireplace and a window that fits in the back. And you now can see that we've got a little room going on inside. There's other walls that will be added to the end, so that black part you see will be covered up with wallboard. The same on this end. There's going to be a little Christmas tree in front of the window. There's going to be a lot of Christmas gifts. It's going to have a chandelier hanging. And this is the wall sconce, one of them that's going to go in there. This is glass. 12-volt system, and on one of the walls, probably on this end, where by the fireplace, I'm going to have a wall sconce that's going to light up as well. And there's a chandelier similar to this with these tulip shades that'll be hanging right here in the center. So when you look in, you're going to see a little chandelier lit up. You're going to see a little Christmas tree with lights on it, stacks of gifts, a little pieces of furniture. Julie, when I'm working on these things, I am working strictly with foam core. So this is, let me show you a piece of foam core. It's a piece of black foam core. It's paper and it has foam on this in the center. So the core is foam. That's why it's called foam core. It's very strong. It creates nice walls. You can do an adhesive like, you can do a tacky spray adhesive like this. You can spray on there and you can easily adhere things on there, papers. When I'm working with brick, I'm working with brick sheet paper like this, so I can actually spray this with spray mount. I can put my brick onto it. Then I can easily cut that with an X-Acto knife or with a utility knife like this on my green cut-proof mat. So that's what I work with. And this is very easy to glue together with, when you start to adhere your walls, you can use a glue gun to do that. I also use quick hold glue. I don't know. I wish my other monitor would work, but I don't know if you can see that. There's a super bright light right. See how bright that light is? But quick hold is what it's called. It's a quick grabbing glue that dries fast because when I'm trying to put stuff on there, I want it to grab quickly. So, did we answer the questions? Yes, and look, the viewership goes up as I explain what I'm doing. But when you tune into just painting, it's like, whatever. And miniature Boo Boo would be nice, yeah. Well, Boo Boo is already miniature. Boo Boo is my dog, and he already is miniature. He's a Min Pin and a Chihuahua mix, so he's that big, and he's old, and he's all gray now. Thank you, B. I said this last night. I know I'm repeating myself, but what I'm doing right now is therapy. This is my mental therapy. This is what gets me through my life. Because sometimes I get in the weeds with relationships with people and stuff like that. Because what? I'm a person just like you. And having these projects, this process, I can think through this process and it really helps me. It helps me make it day by day. Happy Saturday. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Very kind. Thank you. So yes, that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to turn the blow dryer on. Any questions while I'm here and you've got my attention? I'm right here. I'm looking at you. Otherwise, I'm going to a blow dryer. I'm typing as fast as I can. Anybody? I'm seeing no questions. I'm guessing I'm going to move on. Send me hearts if you want me to move on. Hearts for moving on. Oh, Cody. You win, Cody. I'm doing it. So something else that I would say to you guys, or if you're not a crafty person, but if you're working with paint like this, and let's say this paintbrush, you're done with this gold for just a minute, I usually have a damp towel around and I just wrap the brush up in the damp towel to keep it wet so it doesn't dry out on me and get sticky or tacky. So I'm just going to lay that to the side because, and here's my gold, and I have a lid for this. This is the gold that I mixed, put a little orange into it, so I'm going to save that and put it to the side as well. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to step around my table here. I'm going to grab an art brush because they're right over here, and I'm going to touch up some of the black paint that looks like I got a little gold on it, so I'm going to paint over that. Yeah, but you know, maybe some people, don't have that. You know, they don't have a tactile need to do things with their hands. You know, maybe they're more an intellectual person or something like that. You know, I don't know. It's hard to say. They don't necessarily scare me, but I don't have anything. We just don't connect, you know. I guess they're not my tribe. You know, my tribe is a more doer kind of community. So I've got my small art brush. This is my black chalk paint that I got at Michael's. I bought this well, I didn't say yesterday. I was working yesterday. I was there last night, actually, before my live. So I want to be clear that I'm standing at a computer most all day. I'm rarely down here during the day. So I'm touching up some spots here real quick where I got a little, I just kind of messed up a little bit with my gold. So I'm just doing a little quick touch up of black. I'm also going to put a little black wax on this, a wax covering on some of this gold. I'm going to tone the gold down just a tad. The goal is to make it look more vintage and old, because I really want the cabinet to have a rustic feel to it on the outside. I want the cabinet to be pretty, I want the cabinet to be compelling, and I want it to draw a person to the cabinet, so you want to look inside of it. But once you turn on the chandelier inside and it's a little bit of light peeking out of it, people want to look in it. It's just kind of I think it's an innate thing to want to see what's in there. And I'm going to be pulling this tape off in just a second. I'm just touching up the black and gold before I do that. Doing a little touch up here. Being super careful that I don't get any black onto the gold that I just did. But again, I'm putting some black wax on, so it won't really matter about the hyper detail. The goal is to keep this from looking homespun. We don't want it to look like, you know, some craft project that you just want it to look as, I guess what I would say, as professional as possible, especially if this thing perhaps is going to be a it's going to be a piece that I sell. I want it to look perfect. I don't want anybody to be buying anything that looks like, you know, just a craft project. Like when you drink wine and go to one of those places where you paint pottery or something like that, and they have wine and you can sit and drink with your friends and paint pottery. We don't want it to look like that. That's not what this is. And there's no wine here. I don't even have a cola right now because I'm fully caffeinated. All right, so I've touched that up a little bit. I have a little black paint on this, so I'm going to add this brush to my damp towel. Yeah, you call it a case. Yeah, I call it a cabinet. I could be wrong. And if you're indirectly correcting me, thank you. Hey, Henry, welcome. Did you just roll out of bed, Henry? Because I know what am I here? I'm 11:15 Atlanta time, so I know it's 3 hours if you're in California. You're in the Canton Hickory Flat area. Yeah, you're not at all. So, Crystal, you're near Woodstock. I would say you're closer to Woodstock. There is Woodstock Antique Mall is there, and across the street from that is Woodstock Interiors and Antiques, I think. I think Woodstock's Interiors used to be a Hobby Lobby, and so it's this massive store with all these booths in it and all kinds of good stuff. A lot of it home decor, but they've got vintage crystal in there. Some of the dealers have some antique pieces, but the Woodstock Antique Market has even more stuff in it, more vintage stuff. Oh, you're in New Mexico. Okay, Henry, one of my favorite places on the planet. What city? Are you in Santa Fe? Albuquerque? Carlsbad? Roswell? Oh, there you are. Great memories of Las Cruces, the crosses. Great memories of that. Driving from California. About 20 years ago, I lived in Southern California and I moved to Atlanta. Woodstock is awesome. You need to go to Woodstock up there. It's beautiful. It's a great antiquing. Awesome. Cobb Antique Mall is near you too. But on this trip from California on I-10, we went north to Carlsbad Caverns, but we went through Cloudcroft, so we drove up, Alamogordo is where we were. Las Cruces is somewhere down in there too. I think we even went through there, but drove up through that area. So beautiful. Yeah, and I was in Santa Fe last January. Spent a few days there. Absolutely love it. Love it. NYC, another place I love. So yes, so you're out there in beautiful New Mexico. Love it. When we went to Santa Fe last year, I went ahead and did some antiquing all over Albuquerque as well. Just drove down there. We had an extra day, so we just went down to Albuquerque and just went to every single antique place in Albuquerque. And I found a few things. Left behind some vintage Christmas ornaments in Santa Fe last January. There's a video about those ornaments in my history if you care to look. I regret leaving them, but I did. And I didn't sound like I had any regret in my voice when I made the video, but a year later, especially this Christmas when I realized how I could have used them, dang it. So the lesson here is if you are out antiquing and something says, that's really interesting, I should get that, don't talk yourself out of it. If you've got the money and the time and a way to get it home, do it. My recommendation. Yeah. So anyway, all right. Enough blabbing. I'm going to take off some tape, and so because we're live, this could be a disaster, and you get to watch it unfold live. Because it could be pulling off my chalk paint. Can you guys see that? Here we go. Look. I'm going to let you enjoy this live. Isn't this kind of ASMR sort of kind of a thing? It's very satisfying to remove the tape, isn't it? Look at that. I'm pulling. Hang on. Let me look at it. And tape number 1, done. Show my work. Whoops. Where are we? Wait, where did I do it? I want my mommy. There it is. Okay. Now I'm going to remove the paint just below that. The tape, I mean. So again, I'm removing it. Let me show you. ASMR. Some part of it. It's not an audio thing, though. It's just a... What is it? I don't know what the other one is. All right, hang on. Got to pay attention. You know, it's hard to keep a camera in mind and do this at the same time. I'm only one person. Okay, it looks like that Artful Roger got the tape jammed in there too far, and the paint's a little dry. It's a good thing I'm taking this off a little soon. Okay, so there's that removed. If there is any gold that I see a little weird little spot right there. I'll just touch that up with black and cover that up. I did see a bit of tape over here. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to look for something like this tiny screwdriver that I can use to get in there. I also have, because I'm at a craft table, I have other things here available to me. So these are some small X-Acto knives that I might be able to use. It's another thing about doing crafty stuff like this. If you have a space to create for yourself, I recommend it. The great thing is, if you have a space like this, you can put your stuff right here and get it organized so when you need it, it's there. But make sure, when you're done with it, that you put it back. Because it's very frustrating when you need a tool and you can't find your tool. So I'm kind of, this blue tape is hideous, and I'm hoping I can get it out. This is a detail you cannot enjoy on a live. This is for my eyes only. I'm going to put a little black, I just pushed the tape up inside that area. I'm just going to paint that with a little bit of black. You can't see it here, but trust me, it's there. You have an art room, that's awesome. Yeah, you definitely need one. Susie, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you let me know. Because my monitor went off. I can only see that camera. It's hard. I mean, see my phone, and it's like way up there, and I can't see it. So I'm doing my best to respond to you guys. So I'm taking off more blue tape. Let me turn it so you two can enjoy it. Okay. Make a little stack here. I'm pulling it off. So again, if I'm making any marks on my paint, my black, I'm just going to touch it up with my little artist brush. So again, I'm going to take off this upper paint tape. So far, so good. This tape like this is really great. There's a green tape called frog tape, and it creates a waterproof seal around it when the paint touches it. So if you're looking to make really straight edge lines and designs, the green tape is the best tape. I'm not doing that here. I have some lines in the molding already that I'm using to create separation. So I'm just using standard painter's tape. But because I'm working in a live, I'm doing things a little differently because I'm trying to be aware of that I have an audience looking at it. And so I'm kind of messing things up I'm not doing exactly how I would do it if I weren't being watched. All right. So, well, let me get one more off. Almost ready to show you. At least one side is done. There it is. So you can see there's a little bit of weirdness right there. You see those weird lines? That gold right here. I don't like that. So I'm going to take black and I'll just touch up along this edge so that it creates a nice straight line. So what I'm going to do after I get this tape off, I'm going to take a piece of, first I'm going to try it with, well, I think what I'm going to do is get some a sanding block, and I'm just going to gently sand off these edges. I want to create a kind of a rough look on the edges, kind of give it a weathered look. And the black wax, I think I'm going to do that, yes. The black wax is probably going to happen here, but I probably will do the black wax after I do the sanding of the edges and all, and see what the wax does to it. So yeah, I think it looks good. I think that's a good look. Let's see what it looks like with the bevel. You know, and you can see I need to see that shine in that black paint. That's because I've touched it, so I need to fix that. But yeah, but I think that looks pretty good. It really helps to get that ugly blue tape off, that's for sure. Thank you, Ebby. And thanks for hanging out, Ebby. I appreciate you being here. And you're sticking around. All right, I'm taking off the blue paint. Let me have all this stuff out here. Yeah, you guys can see that. There's that. The upper one is a lot easier to get off. Looks good. I display some of them at Christmas, Henry. This one that I'm making now, what I do with these things is I make them, I'm in love with them, and then I make something else I love more, and then I'm ready for these to be rehomed, for somebody to buy it. Sometimes I give them as gifts, like some of the people in my life that are close to me, they get these things as gifts. I've been really funny over the years. You guys know, I could ask you guys how many pieces has Roger made of lighting, and you guys can answer for me. I'm going to say it again. I've made about 3,500 pieces. They're around the world. They're in movies and they're in TV shows. That's my spiel. I sold on Etsy for about 8 years. I did this full time. In those years that I did this, I rarely, if ever, gave any of my lighting away as a gift. The reason is because so much of me goes into these pieces that I want somebody to want it. I want them to buy it, because if they give me the money for it, then I know that they've invested something that's important to them, money, they gave to me so they could take the piece and cherish it. If I give you something and you're like, yeah, I don't know if I really like that or not, you know, there is so much that went into that. I want the person that has it to really want it. The people that have received my pieces as gifts, though, have been people who, you know, you can tell when somebody is interested in something when they love something. You know, I think their pupils dilate or whatever happens. It's like if somebody looks at you and you know when they think that you're the cat's meow, so to speak. You know, they're just a look that you get from people, and, you know, that happens. When I see someone look at my art like that, that's someone that I more than likely will maybe consider gifting a piece, because I know that they'll cherish it. This piece back here, these pieces are now unplugged because of my because I've used the blow dryer, but this is a piece that I made out of an old exit sign that I absolutely adored and was infatuated with it for quite a while. I'm done being infatuated with it. It's looking for a home. I just have not listed. I need to get my Etsy shop back in order and put some stuff out there. The challenge with Etsy, though, these days is that when I was on Etsy, Etsy had not yet gone public. When they went public, the whole format changed, and they were allowing mass manufacturers to be on there instead of just makers. When I was there, it was makers. Did really well on it. But then when, you know, Chinese factories have they inundate with 700 pieces of lighting, and you've got one lamp that you just handmade, you get lost in all that. So it became very difficult to sell on in the Etsy format. So I kind of let my shop go to sleep. And it also was under a different name, under my Bencliffe name, which is how my email's set up here on TikTok. But Bencliffe was dissolved at the end of 2023. So it is no longer, does not exist as a company. It's dissolved, and we may be forming a new LLC called, anyone want to guess what the new LLC is going to be called? Clock is ticking. Paul, welcome. I'm glad you're here. I'm waiting. What will my new LLC be called? Just, the name is here. Thank you very much, Garrett. You win. Garrett, you win. So yeah, that is what the new LLC is more than likely going to be called, is Artful Roger, which is a play on Artful Dodger, which is character in Oliver Twist, which came up last night. I forget to mention that to you guys, but someone at work, a colleague of mine, was calling me Artful Roger, and I used to be called Roger Dodger on here. People knew me because when I was a kid, I was Roger Dodger. But Artful Roger just seemed to be the perfect name, and so I just adopted it, and I think it's probably going to become my LLC that I'll form later on, because this whole thing is kind of going in a new direction. And like I said, I was on Etsy back then. Look at that, I got gold paint on my black. I was on Etsy back in the day, and just had a tremendously successful run with that. And so Bencliffe Designs was great. And I'm just looking around. You guys have seen the logo and all that. Who cares? It's all over. Let me find my black brush, my black paint. Single member LLC. Yes. Yep, that's my new name. So yeah, Artful Roger is the new venture. And who knows where Artful Roger's going to go. You know, I'm doing the art here. I've told you guys previously that I've kind of had a broken road. I'm not one of those people who came out of school and said, I'm going to do X and I'm going to stay X. I didn't stay X. I've had some trauma in my life that's happened. It's kind of changed direction for me. I got flattened for a while. I spent about 4 years I went through a traumatic divorce in 2001. And it took me about 3 or 4 years to get out of the crushing, unbelievable crap it was. It was a time of my life that I seriously considered, you know, taking a permanent break from this. And I had, at the time, I was in outbound sales for a Fortune 250. I was number 2 in the United States because I was doing really well with that. And I was in this traumatic situation. I was feeling very low on this particular afternoon, and I had a sales assistant. His name was Tim. And Tim called me about something to do with work. And I was working from my home, and he was at the office, and he could tell. I was at this point. I just was at this point. I can't even explain how bad it was for me up here. And he must have sensed it, because at some point he showed up at my house with a portable television. That's what he brought over, with those rabbit ears on it. And I was outside in my yard mowing the grass. I had a giant piece of property, and I was mowing it on a riding mower. And I was to the point of falling off the lawnmower. That's how depressed I was. I was just like, I'm just gonna fall off this thing, and I don't care if it runs over me. It was just terrible time. And he pulled up in the driveway. I saw him. I turned off the mower. He says to me, "Get in the house." He tells me, that's just how he talked to me. He said, "Get in the house." And so I went in, and he took me down to the family room, and he started setting up this little portable TV. He said, "You're going to watch TV." And I'm like, "I have a TV." And it was this big TV sitting there. He said, "You're going to watch TV then." And so he got behind my TV and started hooking up because I'd had the cable disconnected. And he connected something to get a local channel, and some sitcom came on. And he said, "You need to laugh. He just gave me all these things to do. And I sat in front of the TV, and I laughed at some inane sitcom, and it was a turning point. It just was a turning point. I can't tell you what happened that day. I don't know exactly what happened and what he brought that day, but it was the thing that helped me find some spark inside of myself to survive the thing that I was in. And I was able to kind of put one foot in front of the other. I remember literally during that time things being so hard that I would have to literally hold my hand out like this and look at my finger and go, I'm not going to think any further than the end of my finger. I really honestly did that. And that's what I would do to bring all my thoughts into where I'm not thinking beyond the end of my finger. And that would keep me from going down really dark places. I eventually found my way out of it, but it took a long time. It took about 3 years for me to come back into the sunlight again and find myself. And over those times, I tell you that whole story because I've had kind of this broken road experience to get to where I am today. I've done lots of different things. Like as you know, I'm back in corporate again, but I'm not in corporate in the superstar way I was the first time I was in corporate. I had taken a route in sales, and I did really well in that. And if you're good at that kind of stuff, you're very visible to people and people know who you are. And I was flying high in that in my 30s. And that's the honest truth. I'm just being transparent about it. I know I was living in my ego during that time. As a matter of fact, when I was looking for some pictures for one of these lives, I came across a picture of me from 1997 and I showed it to my spouse. And I said, this person right here was something else. I was looking at it, I go, I remember this guy. I remember him. And I remember what he was like. Arrogant was a compliment at that time in my life. I'm not joking. People said, you're so arrogant. And I thought that was a positive thing. I'm not like that anymore. But that's where I was at that time in my life. And I got shot down during that time. And let me tell you, it was a lesson learned. It was a lesson learned. So I am here now. In this place, I am solidly on my feet. I am prone to being sad sometimes, but I'm not depressed like that. And I'm happily in a relationship for about 20 years, and I just am, things are good. But we do face things, guys, and some people can't find their way through it. It's sometimes so hard, you know, you just can't find your footing. It's one foot in front of the other. I look back at some of the stuff I faced during that time, and I'm like, I don't know how I did it. I don't know how I did it, but I did do it. I somehow did it. Yeah. Yo, Henry, you're on the struggle bus. I can't even imagine, Henry. I can't even imagine. And I will tell you, fully transparent here, that is an Achilles heel. That if I'm the person left here, I'm not sure. It is. Dash around the world's clock box. It is. Clock box, clock cabinet, clock case, whatever you want to call it. I call it a clock cabinet. To me, it's a little cabinet, but you're right, it's a case. But yeah, I'm turning it into it's going to be a little scene inside here. It's going to be a room. It's going to be somebody's living room with a fireplace. That's what's happening. And that's where we're getting. So I'm just touching up the paint right now. So thanks for joining. You know, the thing is that telling that story about my sales assistant coming over, and people believe in angels, and maybe there are literal angels, I don't know. But I think that we are that. I think that we have the opportunity to be that for each other. Honestly, I do. And I think that a lot of us have intuition. Maybe all of us do. Maybe we don't know how to hear it, but it's there. And we know when somebody needs us, you know. We know there's times when we can be that for someone else. Because you never know what somebody's going through. You just don't know. I think this thing is looking pretty good. I've got a little bit of gold right here I need to touch up. You guys like looking at the top of my head? Because I know that's what you see. Looks pretty good. Yeah, terrariums are really cool. My grandmother did terrariums. I've been through the terrarium phase. I'm not in it right now, but Lord knows I'll probably get back into it again. It's always something. I wanted to speak to you a little bit about my creations as well and how I see these. These things to me, these creations that I make, they're like children to me. I've explained this to people, they're like children. And I don't think people want their kids to be critiqued, and you don't want to be there when your kid's being judged for something, being assessed or whatever, because you believe your kid is amazing, and it's hard to hear sometimes when somebody else is critiquing your child. That's how I feel about these creations. And a lot of times if I've been with these, like when I was doing my Etsy stuff, I got invited a couple of times to the local what's it called, West Elm, the store West Elm. I know you guys are familiar with West Elm, but West Elm did pop-up shops for makers, and I was at West Elm a couple of times invited to do a pop-up shop. It was always difficult for me to stand there with my stuff, because although people didn't critique it, the way people looked at it, and stuff like that. Now I sold things, of course, but I was always really sensitive about my children being critiqued or judged. And I've sold a lot of pieces, so don't get me wrong, but it's not for everybody. But it was always a challenge, so I'm really funny about, over the years, about having my art. I've always said I needed an agent or something that could rep my art, because they don't have the emotional stuff in it like I do. I think that's looking pretty good. Yeah, I'm going to spray this with polyurethane at the end. Even over the wax, I'll do it. Again, because it's going to be rustic, so I don't really care if it gets a little rusticy looking. It's fine. Yeah, the exit sign. Yeah, Felicia, it was lit up, and I think I might be done with the blow dryer. I might plug those back in. Let me just look at this real quick and see. I saw a little shine somewhere, and it looked like paint wasn't on it. I think I need to put a little more black. I need to put a little more black paint right here, so I'm going to do that. But let me plug these in. Vidal Sassoon. I'm thinking. I'm looking to see how long the cord is. That's what I'm doing here, because I might be able to show it to you guys up close. It's super heavy. So you can kind of see that there's kind of stuff inside of it. There it is. This on top is an old faucet handle that was in the house when we moved in, and I've turned it into a switch. This switch controls some of the guts, but I'm going to open this up and then I'll show you inside. Can you guys see that okay? You guys can see that? So yeah, so let me tell you about this. This exit sign was at Ballard Designs. They did a remodel in part of corporate, and this was over an old door that had been bricked up years and years before. So as they were working on it, the workers were back there, and I said, what are you guys going to do with that exit sign that's up there? And they said, well, it's going to go in the dumpster. I said, well, if you guys get it down, it's not a problem. I said, I'd like to have it. So they got it down, and it had broken green glass in it, and it was silver metal. It still had paint on it. So I have a secret sauce that I use on raw ferrous metal. Ferrous means iron, means it has iron content, and I can make this look like this within, like, me and the Vidal Sassoon hair dryer can turn metal into rust like this, and this is sealed with polyurethane. This can happen in a few hours. So it looks like it's been outdoors for 100 years, but this is what I did to it. So I wanted to save it. It's mounted to this wood base, but I'm going to open this up so you guys can see the inside. So there are the guts inside. You can see that. Hopefully I don't drop it. I'm trying to keep it out of that ring light. So if I turn this off, this has let me do this. So this turns on the ambient lights inside. You can see kind of it lit up a little bit. It's hard to see on this TikTok, but then the tubes inside. And there's mirrors in there, so it looks a lot bigger. So this is very ethereal at night. This is in a darkened room. It is really cool. So like this, when it's closed, what you're seeing through there is this ethereal light shining through in these tubes and stuff inside. It is really an awesome piece and a great way to save this old exit sign that was destined for the dumpster. It was just going to get thrown away, and so here it is. And I did this in I think I did this in 2018 or 19. But again, it was a piece that I was absolutely in love with. It has been for sale for some time locally. I just took it all out of the local store. It was just in the wrong place. The shop is nice, but it's a place where that thing is friggin' heavy. It's a place where people are buying secondhand stuff, and they're not looking to spend, $2,000 on something like that. It's just people don't walk in. I sold one piece in a year in there, and the piece was like $1,800, and that's the only thing I sold in there. So the stuff that I make, it's an investment, but it's an art piece, and there aren't a lot of people out there, I guess, that want to drop a couple of $1,000s on a piece of art. But I have people in my life. We go to Santa Fe, and we go in all those studios and art galleries, and they have money for things like that, and they buy art. Not me, but they do. I like to create it. Yeah, I'm in the Atlanta area. You have no creative bone? Yeah. I'm going to turn this awful light back on just because I can see better. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you asked about the exit sign, so I was able to share that. So let me get back to, I closed my paint. Let me get back to painting here real quick because I lost my train. I get stuck up on the, caught up on the exit sign. I'm using my small brush here just to paint in a little bit of paint over these spots. All right, I think that kind of covered that up. Welcome to my live. So it looks like have to get my moderator involved because the a-holes drop into your the live to have to start saying crap. Yeah, I mean in my live. Yeah, buttholes. So, guys, I appreciate you joining the live this morning. I really do. Oki, thank you for being here. Yeah, I've got my moderator. I've got to, guys, if you can hang out for 1 second, let me go get my moderator involved. Hang on. Oh, brother is right. Yeah, my moderator's going to take care of this. Yeah. Yeah, I am making, it's an antique clock case, and I've been painting it here and chatting with you guys, and I'm turning it into a scene. So I just put some paint on that, and we are watching paint dry. That is a good one. Absolutely a good one. Yeah, my moderator's not always on here, but I know this happens from time to time, so I definitely need to have that person making sure they're killing off people who want to ambush a live where we watch paint dry. Where did I put a Vidal Sassoon? I need to get Vidal back involved. All right. Yeah, the craft table, this craft table that I'm working on is no longer made. But if you look at wayfair.com and put in craft table, there are quite a few manufacturers out there. Also Amazon, there's different kinds of craft tables. This one has a zinc top on it, but there's some really good ones out there. If I had more room, I would, it looks like TikTok took care of it. Hallelujah. Thank you, Mr. Nightshade. Thank you for doing that, yes. Yes, there are bookcases on each end down here. There's one here and one on the other end, the opposite end here, which you can store paint and things like that. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, you got it in a marketplace. Yeah, that's awesome. The hard scrolls where the paint was wet here. Yeah, I just painted a little more on there. I'm going to go ahead and sand this. This is going to have a rustic look to it, so it doesn't really matter about that kind of stuff. Yeah. And Mr. Nightshade, if you keep an eye on these other comments on here too, people are asking to have their videos reposted. I mean, I don't know what that's about, but, you know, I appreciate you helping me out with this. I may have to hire myself another moderator too. Guys, I'm going to go grab a sanding block. Do you guys mind watching paint dry? I'll be right back. So this is just a little standard sanding block here, and what I'm going to do with this, and I've got a damp towel here too, but I'm going to go ahead and start putting a little bit of, I'm just kind of rubbing off very, very lightly, kind of going for a distressed look. This is going to create dust, and it's going to get on this part as well, but all that dust is really good stuff because I'll just brush that off with a dry paintbrush, but it all adds to the rusticness. And once it's done, I'm going to spray this with polyurethane in here, probably over here, with some kind of exhaust on because I can't go out and, you know, in 20 degrees and paint or any kind of surface, you know, spray any kind of surface coat. But it will seal all that in. And any kind of dust and discoloration will be covered by the poly. So I'm going to take this damp towel and I'm just going to wipe off that edge and kind of see. It looks like it's taking a little more. It's not taking enough paint off because I'm really trying to create a more distressed looking edge. So let me do that. I'm going to get a little more aggressive. What it's doing is taking off the chalk paint and kind of creating that old look. The other paint left surface that's under there is being revealed. So I think that's going to be good enough. Yeah, but it is creating an older look. Yeah, it's creating kind of a vintage look. The corners sometimes are good. This sanding block looks like, I'm going to go grab another sanding block. Well, let me try this side. Hang on one second. I think there's a little bit of, there may be some drywall compound in this from one of my projects. Yeah, that's a little better. So it's really kind of bringing out a little bit of an edge to it. So it's coming along. The best way to antique something, well, that depends on what it is. You know, what you're trying to antique. Metal pieces, wood pieces, something that's wood painted. It depends. I'm going to go ahead and run the front of this. I think you guys can see that. That one, really running edge, pretty good. You can't really see it. I don't know if you can see it or not, but yeah. I'm going to cut this edge here. Yeah, I'm getting pretty aggressive on this. So it's kind of getting an edge. You can kind of see what it's doing there. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I appreciate you guys hanging out on this live. I'm going to give this back a little bit of a distress as well. See, that's coming off the edges. I'm going to do the front right here on this edge, right here. So it's given a little bit of a line there. A little bit, yeah. Right here on this edge. So that's what I'm going to be doing, is just working on that stuff, yeah. Thanks for sending the rose, Lori. I appreciate that. I'll be right back. I'm getting another sanding block. A lot of my sanding blocks have been used on projects in the house. This is just a piece of sandpaper, and what I'm going to do here is just cut it down to a small piece with a pair of scissors. Thanks for the gifts, guys. I appreciate that. See, you're investing in my art by sending a gift. Thank you, Lucy. Very kind. I hate that I have to look at my phone like this, you know, looking through my lenses, but that's the way it is right now. My mirroring monitor went off on me a long time ago. Has anyone else ever done this kind of stuff? Has anyone else done any chalk painting and done this weathering and this aging look that I'm doing right now? Anyone else have any experience with it? I know you're there. I know at least 67 people are there. So, yeah, but you haven't done it. Yeah. So I'm guessing if anybody on here has done it, they're probably going to jump in and say, yeah, I've done it. Well, I'm using just a sanding block. You can get these at Home Depot. I mean, I guess you could exfoliate with this, but you'll be bleeding very, very soon if you tried to do it. But these are awesome if you're going to be patching a wall, if you want it smooth. These are really easy to work for sanding, rather than using the old sandpaper pieces like that. So I'm just taking off the paint off the edges to make it look worn. That's the idea. To make it look distressed. And again, what I said earlier, once you put your poly on there, it's going to look really good. Yeah, so the sawdust is probably flying up in front. You guys can see me breathing it and everything else. You're probably thinking, thank goodness I'm not there. A lot of the dust that's coming up, I'm sure, is the drywall compound that's in this left behind from some project that I did. It's looking a little, there's a little bit of distressing happening there. So it's kind of happening. Yeah, there's a lot of places to distress on here. I'm going to do along this edge right here. Let me get some of my tools cleaned up. I'm going to put my little X-Acto knives back in the little box. Put this down here. Anything I'm not using, my paintbrush needs to go back in there so it doesn't dry out. This sanding block is loaded with drywall, but let's see, it's a pretty rough one. Got a good little edge right there on it, so the paint's come off. So that looks good. That's kind of a natural place where it would wear. I can clearly see I should have gone to Home Depot last night and also to Michael's, because I could have gotten a couple more sanding blocks because I needed them for this. Yeah, if I were doing this, you could, if you're using chalk paint, you could paint a base coat of red and then put black over it, and then you're going to take probably a dampened towel and take off the upper coat very gently so you reveal the red underneath. I'm going much more aggressively because I'm revealing the wood, because I'm going for a fully, like a distressed look down inside of the, you know, to the wood itself. Yeah. Sometimes, like on this, I did some sealer on this. You see that little white spot here, right there? That is some putty that I used on this, so I'm probably gonna have to touch that up a little bit because I don't like that white showing through, but the wood is good. How do you make something look antique? Well, if it's metal, you can use, sometimes vinegar will discolor things, like the exit sign that I showed you here right behind me that I went from silver to rust. That's done with hydrogen peroxide, just standard 3% hydrogen peroxide, table salt, and water. So what I typically do to create a rusting effect on anything that's ferrous or iron, has iron content, which it will do, it'll oxidize like that. That's iron oxide. I'm breathing all the dust. I don't know if I can carry on. See, I told you I was a nerd. Put the put the hydrogen peroxide in a spray bottle. Just put it in there and then spray it onto your surface of your metal. And if it's painted or sealed, it's not going to work. It has to be bare metal. Like if galvanized steel, if you galvanized sheet metal, you have to remove the galvanized coating with muriatic acid, it's toxic, it's dangerous, and so you don't want to be doing that, especially indoors. You will die from it. It will kill you. So do not do it. But the galvanized metal you cannot discolor. Even though it's a ferrous metal underneath, you have to get to the metal surface. Again, spray the hydrogen peroxide on your bare metal and then sprinkle table salt on it. And you can use a Vidal Sassoon hairdryer if you'd like to, or any other hairdryer to create heat, and it'll speed up the process, but it will rust nearly immediately in front of your face. It just starts rusting. It's a very quick way to create a rusty look. I'm trying to think what does a discoloration. On copper, if you want to get a green patina with copper, that usually takes a lot of time to do it. One of the quick ways to get there, though, if you want to make your copper look like it's got a nice aged patina on it, this is a cheater's way to do it. Miracle Grow, the plant food that's blue, just mix that up and you can make a tiny bit of it concentrated, and you can paint or spray that onto your copper, and when it dries, guess what color it is? It's the color of oxidized copper, greenish, beautiful color that makes your copper, and it'll stick to it sometimes as well, so you can get that look as well. There are tutorials, I think, on YouTube that you can look to find ways to make your copper get darker quicker. There are also chemicals out there, chemical companies that sell product that allows you to change the color of brass to bronze and things like that. You can research that. Those chemicals are out there. They're dips, and you can dip your brass items into that and it'll turn it to bronze. It'll rust ferrous metal as well. I was just joking. Get something to drink, I'm joking. And unfortunately, down here, the only thing, I've got a wine fridge right here next to me, and I've got the spare fridge, which probably has, I bet it's full of champagne. I don't want to be drinking that. Not now. So, Henry, you're questioning me with multiple question marks. So what you're really about is about the, about changing the color of metal. I'm so perturbed that my monitor went out. Yeah, the Miracle Grow will do it. Yeah, it absolutely will, but it's fake. Keep that in mind. It's fake. It's a fake way to do it. It's not like the way to do it. Really, you need to, I forget what the chemical compound is you have to put on copper, but it takes a long time for it to get that beautiful green look. But if you want it instantly, you know, if you had something kind of copper vessel in your house or something like that, and you want to get that green look, you can, I've done it. You can spray that stuff on there with a very fine mist, let it dry, and you can even seal that with poly, and you'll have that greenish coloration, whatever's in that Miracle Grow will be on there and make it look like it's patinaed, although it's not. It's just fake. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with this monitor. It is a product I bought from Home Depot. What is wrong with me? From Amazon, that I can plug my I can plug it plugs into my, well, it's a Bluetooth, so it Bluetooth signals to my phone and just mirrors my phone screen to my monitor, and it just will shut off. It's just in the middle of whatever, and it'll just go. It's frozen. I'm looking at me from way back when Drew was saying love it, and Mrs. Samuel Peep said pretty. What type of paint? That's when it froze, and so I'm just looking at me there with my mouth all held differently and weird like this. Yeah, there's no telling. And I'll deal with that when I'm not being watched by, by you guys. Let me take a more paint off. Alrighty. I've had just about enough of that. Just about enough. This is my damp towel. I'm just going to wipe off some of that excess. I'm not going to get it too wet because my chalk paint will probably end up coming off. We don't want that to happen, so I'm just kind of getting the dust off. A lot of this will smooth out once I spray it with poly, so I'm not overly concerned about discoloration and dust right now and streaks, because it just isn't going to matter. The poly will smooth it. The polyurethane will smooth it all out. All right, so there is painted. Looks good, huh? So far? Looks good. So let me show you something else. I'm going to show you some things here. Let me show you some finishing stuff that I'm doing, because I need your opinion. Those of you who hung around, you 60 people, some of you have been here since the beginning. So let me put this on here. So there's that. So that's going to be on top, this little finial. For those of you who don't know already, this is going here. What do you guys think so far? Hearts. Just send me, tap the screen if you like it. Forget typing, just tap the screen. Is there anyone there? Anyone listening? Is there any life out there? Give me some hearts. Tap the screen like there's no tomorrow. Just tap, tap, tap. Okay, so that means you guys like it. All right, thank you. That's awesome. That lets me know. Okay. Let me go grab the hardware that goes on the ends, because I need your opinion, so hang tight. I'm going to go grab those. I'll be right back. I'm back. All right, these are antique cabinet pulls. Everybody sees these? Take a good look. They're in their original form. They're brass. They did not come with this clock, but I find this stuff out and about, and I buy it when I see it because I love it. I think it's super interesting. But look at those. Aren't they cool? They have just some super detail on them. I just think they're gorgeous. So my question is this. You see the color that they are. Let me put them in the cabinet. I've already drilled some holes in here for them, so you see how that is. Hearts, if you like it. Tap that screen. Tap the screen if you like the pulls. I'm not seeing a friggin' heart. One heart. Okay, looks amazing. So somebody didn't take the time. Thank you for hearting. Thank you. Okay, so you like them. So here's the question, hearts. Do you think that I should paint this, or leave them in their natural color? So I need you to type this. Either natural or paint. Those are the words. So don't type a ton of stuff. Just say, if you're in camp, leave, put the word leave, or natural. That works. Good. So do not paint them is basically it. That's what I was thinking. I think it's totally fine like this. Totally fine. All right. That's good. Thank you for your opinions. Hold on. Let me put this thing on the front. There's that. And that. And the top. Everybody good with the hardware? It sounds like you are. So this is how it's going to look. I think that I've done a pretty good job with the orange paint to get the gold to match. I think that looks great. Let me put this back together real quick so we can look at it. All right, so there, let me get up close. There's the wood floor, there's the windows and the fireplace, how it's coming along inside. There'll be interior walls and everything. But I think this is without the polyurethane on it, but I think that works. I think this is going to look good. And then this will be the front. So I think it's looking good. Yep, I think it's good. I'm happy with it. I'm glad you guys had an opinion because I wasn't sure what to do, but we will absolutely leave those like they are. But all of this kind of hardware will get put on after I've done the poly seal to the top. So I'm pretty much done with painting and distressing the old wood floor. But yeah, so that's it. I'm going to take off the hardware. What I'll just probably do with these is gently brush clean these and leave them as they are. I think this little pointy finial looks good on top. I'm loving that. No, Oki, it will not be. The little Christmas tree, I showed it last night. You may not have been on the live. I'm going to show you the Christmas tree that's going in here. Don't judge. The Christmas tree is still in progress, and it looks like a Charlie Brown tree. But the thing about this cloche, it's supposed to look like old world. You know, it's supposed to look like back in the day. So here's the tree, and you're not going to like it, I promise you. That's it. It looks like hooey right now, but it's going to look really good when it's done. But I made this little thing because I wanted it to be, I didn't want a bottle brush tree. And for those of you who don't know what a bottle brush tree is, this is a bottle brush tree. This is an enormous bottle brush tree. But I didn't want to use this. Well, of course, I would never use one this big inside this cabinet. But I just wanted something that looked a little more, it just looks different. And not, because this is very ubiquitous. These are everywhere. You can buy these. And I just wanted to have something different. So that's what I'm doing. I think the more, when you're building these things, it's tempting to go out and buy things that are already made. But it's better to make things, I think, yourself, because it creates a more magical look. Because if people recognize it from Michaels or something like that, it's suddenly ruined, you know, in my opinion. So, anyway, so it's a bottle brush. However, things like this is a little mirror. You know, a little dollhouse mirror, things like this, you find out. I like these things. I use them. I might paint the sides of it and make it look different to make it more my own. But I think things like that are awesome as well. You can use those in your deal. So yeah, so you're in agreement, Amy, with making your stuff. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this thing is going to be really cool. And as I told you guys, if you're new to my live, and there's about 70 people here, and what I find is with lives that way more than half the people that are in these lives are not my followers. You don't know who I am. You're just kind of going through lives, and here pops up some guy painting something, or something like that. If you're curious about what I do, or you want to see the end project, what this thing's going to look like at the end, please follow me, because I will post a video about it. I more than likely will finish this live and do a little video here that I'll post about the progress, so that there'll be a series of videos that you can look at to see. But when this thing is done, I'll do a very nice video and show it in its glory with its lights on and all that stuff, which will be really cool. Yeah, you should do it. Clock cabinets, I'm trying to think if I have anything else down here. I've got something, since I've got you guys here, I've got, how many people here? 63 people are hanging out with me for a minute. Let me go grab something real quick. I want to show it to you because I'm uninspired, but I did buy it. So let me show you what it looks like. This is a front of a clock of some sort. It's metal, clang, clang, clang. So I don't know. That's the metal. But these beautiful figures on it, and cherubs and such. You can see this is where the pendulum was. This is a glass window. I can see you. And anyhow, I don't know what to do with this. But when I saw it, it was not that expensive, and I thought, I gotta have this, but I don't know what to do with it because it doesn't have the back. If this were a box case cabinet, you think about the Christmas thing you could build looking through there, and this down here. So again, it's stuff like this that I see when I'm out and I'm shopping, and I get super inspired by it just by looking at it, and I think, I don't know if I should buy that or not. I'm usually with people, and they know what I do, and they see it, and they're like, oh my God, you should buy that, you should buy that, you should buy it. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I buy it. I've had this for a year and a half, and here it sits. But it could be really cool. Oh, really? There's koi on there? Oh my God, you guys are good. You're right. And then this thing needs a top on at the top. She is seriously... It must be cold. It is. It's like 15 degrees outside today, so that makes sense. But yeah, it's got a lot of really awesome detail on it, doesn't it? I think it probably was beautiful when it was a clock. You can see where the winding mechanism was here. This must have had a bevel on it. As a matter of fact, I bet you dimes to donuts. I bet you that's where this was, and I took it off. I did. It didn't go with this. This did not go with this particular piece. Somebody had put it on there, and I'm borrowing it to do this other clock cabinet. But again, that's what I do too. But someday, I will do this. What am I doing in May? I don't know, Libby. What you got in mind? You do not, Oki. You have the back. No, you don't. You're just playing with my brains. Send the invitation. Where is it? An exotic destination. I have to fly to Costa Rica or fly to Ecuador or something like that. This thing is really cool, though. That has got some... people ask me what my style is. Oh, it's in Clearwater. Oh, nice. So people ask me what my style is. This is where my style has gone. I went from rustic industrial. I was all up in some medicine bulbs, designed all kinds of stuff, did coffee houses. I did a speakeasy. I did some kind of a gaming venue in Chicago. I did the lighting for that, all of that rusticy stuff. But now I've turned to this, and I call this granny chic, but it's these... I just love this look and stuff. I just am really into this right now. So I really hope I can do something with this. It's awesome. So, oh, the bottom glass, that's where the pendulum was. This is where the pendulum was like doing this. Does that look like my finger? Look at that. So back and forth. So it was going tick, 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 tick. So that's what that was. And so then the face of the clock was here. It must have been pretty awesome. But now you've got me. I'm the face of the clock. The current time is 12:23 Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, it's wonderful. So hold tight. I'm going to go put this away. So I'm telling you what I collect when I'm out. Look at this. I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but it was just sitting there, and it's a piece of pot metal, or spelter is what it's called. It's this little cherub riding a koi. Who knows? But it's got to be something, and I don't know what to do with it yet, but someday, or not, maybe in the estate sale. When you come to the estate sale, it'll be in a bin. You're like, oh, look at this old piece of junk. Not knowing that I once upon a time saw it, but I'm now in an urn. I'm called dust, and they'll be poured somewhere in South Carolina. Look at these guys. Just cute little cherubs. Again, I don't know what to do with them, but maybe one day I'll figure it out. Yeah, yeah. So what I would say is making a lamp with these is low-hanging fruit. That's what I call it. I mean, I could totally put a lamp rod in this and put a base on this and totally turn this into a lamp like that. I could go do that in the next 20 minutes. I could make a lamp over there in the studio, and I could do it with you. We could do it. But it just seems, it's got to be something else. I'm trying to think if I have, oh, hold please, let me show you guys something. Let me show you what I did with another one. I forgot this was down here. All right, so prepare yourself. Everybody get their big girl underpants on. This piece I made during COVID, okay? So you think about the mentality of everybody during COVID, and this is where my brain was here, okay? And it took me months to make this piece. All right, it's got a piece of glass on it. So I'm gonna show you first just a glance of it. I'm gonna have to take the glass off. So this is what it looks like, okay? You got it? Look, there's my little cherubs. See what they're doing? They've got grapes and all kinds of stuff. They're like, it's for Bacchus or Bacchanalian, kind of, Festivus for the rest of us, if you will. So there's that. So up here, we've got this. Now let me take this glass off because it's got a reflection. So do you see what I did? All those faces are representative of the masks that we wear in life. We all have masks for different things that we do. And it's kind of the struggle of life. So this cherub thing is kind of back arched and dealing with the struggle of life. That's what I was thinking. That's what the barbed wire represents, and all the masks we wear and rising out of it. This is illuminated assemblage. These are clay. All these faces are, and they're all in there doing their thing. Hold for a moment. It lights up. I have to get the adapter, which plugs in right here. There's my old Ben Cliff Designs logo. This is Ben Cliff Designs. This is my stuff from back then. So I even put signed. That's my Ben Cliff signature, and the times on there. So, and it's signed 2022 because it takes forever for me to make these pieces. The hard part about being right here is that I have so much technology plugged into my electric. So hang on one second. I pull on the cord and everything collapses. So let me plug it in. Yeah, there we go. Let me turn off this awful light. So you can see that it's like molten. It's flickering at night. It's hard to see it. Let me see if I can turn off my ring light. Yeah, there we go. That might help. Yeah, that's better. You can really see it. So it's like heat, coals, embers rising from the ashes. It's like a phoenix kind of a thing, but this was a wall sconce that was broken that someone gave to me because I had a cherub on it. And it laid in my studio forever. And then during COVID, I was looking at it and I stood it on its little feet and it had its hands in the air. And I said, that looks like it's struggling. And I had the barbed wires from my backyard. This used to be a horse farm that we live on. And the old fence is back there. And so I just clipped off a piece of the barbed wire, sealed it with polyurethane, gave it a twist. And then it took me months to make the masks and mounted it to this base. And it's just a little 12-volt system. But this is called the Struggle. Duh! Because I'm so creative with names. So it's called the Struggle. And so this is something I did with the cherubs. I'm just showing you that because it's the cherubs doing their thing. So let me turn on my technology again. My ring light is back on again. And turn on my ugly light. My shirt has a hole in it, I know that. This is my rag shirt for painting. Yeah. Yeah, grabbing light by the barbed wire. Well, I'm sorry you see sacrificed children. That was not in my head, I promise you. I don't think about sacrificed children, so. But, it says something about, what's going on maybe in your head. And I'm not saying that in a mean way either. I'm just saying that's what you see, so it's something to think about, I guess. Yeah, this was more. These things are pressed pieces of the mat of the face of the cherub that's there. So they're kind of images. But again, it's very dark. It's a dark piece. And what I'm working on now is about Christmas and light and joy. And it just says something about how I create, because I'm creating from here and here. It comes from inside of me. It has to be done. And this I made during a time when the world seemed very, very, very unsure. Not that it's ever sure. But it was the COVID period was a very difficult time to be in for sure. This is another piece that I did. This is a little bit different. This again is made on this Hollywood Regency base and glass top on it. I'm going to take the glass off so you can see. But this is factory ruins. Kind of a otherworldly type thing. This all is illuminated. All the stuff you see inside lights up. The tubes light up. There's small spotlights that shine up into this, but you can see that it's just these, it's like an old factory. The street lamp you see there lights up. The old windows. So yeah, this is another piece. Again, talking about when you're creating as an artist, if you will. This is an art form called assemblage. It comes from some inside of me. All of this stuff does, and this is where I was at that time. So this is a more rustic kind of ruins, and I don't know what I would call this. It's apocalyptic, I guess, is what you could say. Yeah, it's very good. And it looks like a UFO base. It does. It looks like one. It could be. I mean, who knows? Maybe the aliens came and all of humanity is gone and they came in this spaceship. But these are just a couple of... I made stuff... My specialty back in the day was making things called upcycling. So I was taking junk pieces and parts and creating something out of it, something new and useful. And these are just old bases, I think, of anniversary clocks and different pieces that I've kind of stacked and fit together to do this. So, yeah, a lot of detail for sure. A lot of time goes into these things. But yeah, so this one. Here's another clock case that has been turned into this. You can see it's got my tag on the back, has all the information when I made it, and my information is engraved on this plate. But this also is illuminated inside with all kinds of tubes, wires, and gauges inside of what you guys are calling a clock case. And this one I put a lock on because this one's out in public. And again, because it has a door that opens, it's really easy to open it up and do that and pull on things and see how it works. But yeah, these are lit up in LED colors, so they're kind of like what you saw earlier with the exit sign. It's different colors, so it's hard to show it here on the phone. It's difficult. But yeah, so this one, the person that we bought the house from, when we first moved in, he came back to visit with us when we moved in, and this used to be in the living room on display. He wanted to buy this thing so bad. He wanted it so badly. And I so regret, because I was still in my love affair stage with this piece and I wasn't ready to sell it, but I do wish that I would have sold it to him when he wanted it, because he loved it so much. But you love the finish on this one, Henry? This black, yeah. Well, the thing that we're working on today, this piece that we've been painting, when it's painted out and sealed with poly, it's going to look very similar to this as well, to this piece. Yeah. This black, I think this is just a black spray paint with a poly seal on it, but it's had the weathering look. You see how I did the edge to it? I took a piece did the same treatment that I gave this is what I'm giving to the piece we're doing today. So it's the same process. You just saw it happening. You just haven't seen that piece sealed yet, to what it's going to look like when I'm done with it, when I get the wax on it and everything else. I'll be right back. What I may do in future lives, when I'm working in the live studio, which is the one with the books behind me, I'll bring in some of this kind of more gently lit stuff and show it in there. That space is not as industrially, and doesn't have the industrial lighting that this table does. We're dealing with, with 6,000 Kelvin light bulbs here that look terrible, because it's a workspace, but in there I've got it at 2700, so it's a much prettier and warmer space, and I'll be able to show you some of those LEDs and it'll look very different and you'll be able to enjoy it. But yeah, I was going to show you a few things, but it looks like I've been on here for a while. You guys have been with me this entire time, and Evie, you are absolutely right about an art gallery. That is where my pieces need to be. I know that I sold on Etsy, like I said, for years and years, but shipping this stuff is very difficult, and it's also hard to convey it. Even here on this medium, when you're looking at it, it's hard to really understand it, because I think you have to be in a space with it, and it does not work if it's in mass. So if I have like 30 pieces and I put them all in one space, it's overwhelming. It has to be one piece, and people have their experience with that one piece. And so that's what I've kind of discovered. It's like art in general. I have a lot of pieces, but they need to be like, you need to see one or two together, and that's the max, because otherwise you're overwhelmed by the entire thing. So anyway, that is it. I'm Artful Roger. If you want to keep up with what I'm doing, if you want to keep up with the progress on this clock cabinet that's going to become a little Christmas scene, please follow me on my page here, Artful Roger, also known as End Table, and you can keep up with it, and I'll give you updates there. But it's been a wonderful experience having you guys on this live. Those of you who have been with me the entire time, thank you for that. I appreciate the hearts. I appreciate the roses, the gifts, the diamonds, whatever the heck you want to throw. I really appreciate it. I definitely feel the love. If you want to chat with me, if you want to have any kind of personal conversations, please use the email address in my profile. All right? Have a good one. So great seeing you guys. You're welcome, Tracy and Henry, and you guys have a wonderful day. Okay? Talk soon. Bye.